Hello again, everyone. It's great to be with you. Our gospel today is from the 12th chapter of Luke. Someone in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the family inheritance with me." But Jesus said to him, "Friend, who set me to be a judge or arbitrator over you?" And then he said to them, "Take care, be on your guard against all kinds of greed, for one's life does not consist in abundance of possessions." Then Jesus told them a parable. The land of a rich man produced abundantly, and he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have no place to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will put down my barns and build larger ones, and there I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to my soul, 'Soul, you have ample good laid up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, be merry.'" But God said to him, "You fool, this very night your life is being demanded of you, and the things you have prepared, who will they be? So it is with those who store up treasures for themselves, but are not rich towards God." The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. So, have you ever bought new stuff to organize and hold your old stuff in order to make room for more new stuff? Do you sometimes bring home good boxes, knowing that someday you'll probably have some stuff to put in those boxes? You know, container stores and storage businesses thrive on that kind of thinking. Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Have you ever been so envious of or wishful of another's life that you were unable or unwilling to celebrate his or her successes, abilities, and good fortune? You look at them and you say to yourself, "That's not fair. What about me? That should have been me." Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Has the grammar of your life ever been predominantly in the first person singular? I. I want, I need, I did, I hope, I achieved, I accomplished, I will, I. Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Have you ever made an unnecessary purchase just to make yourself feel better? Maybe because you were sad, lonely, angry, scared. You want a new life or a new feeling more than a new thing, but you bought it anyway. Take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. If any of this sounds familiar, or if you answered yes, or even if you didn't, but you understand what I'm talking about, then you just might know something about greed in your life. I say that not as a judgment or a criticism, but in recognition that I, and maybe you too, may be as much a barn builder as the guy in the parable Jesus shared with us today. As Jesus warns, there are all kinds of greed. It might be books, shoes, purses, tools, toys, or any other tangible thing. It might be the acquisition of money, land, or other wealth, but greed can also be about time, attention, approval, love, knowledge, power, control, being right, being in charge, or 1,000 other things. Ultimately, though, greed is not about any of these things. These are just the symptoms that point to a much deeper issue. The issue is not about quantity, but a condition of the heart. Greed is really just a way of dealing with our own feeling of deficit and emptiness. It's not so much about having enough as it is about being enough. When we believe ourselves to be deficient, when we lose faith in ourselves, when we feel we are not enough, then we get greedy. We use things and other people to fill the hole inside of us. Greed deceives and convinces us that if we just have one more of this, then we'll be that. Fill in the blanks with whatever it might be for you. Some examples: if you have more money, then you will have more secure future. If you get more books, then you'll have more knowledge. People will see you as studious and intelligent. If you get more of your time and attention, then I'll feel accepted, important, and relevant. If I can gain more power and control, then I'll be safe and respected. No one can hurt me. Greed uses external things to deal with internal matters, but it rarely works. It leaves us wanting more, always seeking the next dollar, the next book, the next word of approval. The thing is, greed steals and deprives us of what we want most. Greed robs us of our life. That doesn't mean that possessions are inherently bad or wrong. The antidote to greed is not necessarily cleaning out the closet, throwing away the books, or giving away our belongings, though in some cases that might be necessary. It might be a necessary starting point. The real work is interior work. Greed shows us that we are living in poverty towards God. The antidote to greed, then, is to be rich towards God. That means we invest in ourselves, each other, and the world in the same way in which Jesus invested himself, through love, mercy, compassion, justice, hope, courage, acceptance, truth, beauty, generosity. This is the wealth of God. This is the life God shares and invests in us through his only Son. So to be rich towards God begins with knowing that we are already God's beloved treasures. There is freedom in that. It is a freedom to live rich towards others and the world. It reveals that there is enough. It declares my life to be as important and valuable as yours. It eliminates the need for comparison with and judgment of myself and others. Being takes precedence over having. I can't help but wonder if greed might not be at the core of our political system, the violence in today's world, and the dysfunction and hurt in our relationships. To the degree greed is present, it robs us of God's wealth. The boxes, shelves, and closets of our lives are already full. We have no need, no desire, no room for God. It isolates us from self, others, and God. Greed works its deception and turns us back on ourselves, and the grammar of our lives soon becomes first person singular. I know what I will do. I will pull down my barns. I will build larger barns. I will store my stuff in my new barns. I will relax. I will eat. I will drink. I will be merry. When this happens, greed has robbed me of you and the possibility of us. There is no second or third person. There's only me. A fool, Jesus says in the parable, a fool who closes the barn door after the thief has escaped with my life. Life does not consist in the abundance of possessions, Jesus says. Somewhere deep within, we already know this. We really do. This is not news to us. Think about the day you held your child or grandchild for the very first time. Think about the times you pulled them close and whispered your dreams into their tiny ears. Recall the last child you saw baptized. Recall the day a friend introduced you to their newborn child. Recall the happy faces of children on a playground. Do you remember those days? Can you picture their faces? What were your greatest hopes and dreams for those kids? What were your sincerest prayers for their life? What did you desire more than anything else for those little ones? Was it a big fancy house? A shelf full of books? A closet full of shoes and purses? Did you pray that they would always be on the winning team? That they would be rich and wealthy? Did you hope they would be number one in their class, or that they would be more powerful, important, and successful than anyone else? No, that's probably not what you hoped and prayed for that child. Why weren't those your first concerns, because something in you already knew that life does not consist in abundance of possessions. And if you know that to be true for them, you know it to be true for yourself. You want more for that child. I'm betting you pray that that child would find meaning and purpose in their life. You hope their life would be filled with joy. You wish them a world of peace. You pray that they would look into the mirror and see their own beauty, that they would trust their own goodness, and that they would discover their own holiness. You prayed that they would find that special one and know what it is like to love and be loved unconditionally. You wish that they would imagine all the possibilities of their life. The reason those things were your prayers, hopes, and wishes is because somewhere deep within you, you know and want those same things in your own life. You touched your own richness towards God. You caught a glimpse of the treasure that you are and want to be, the treasure God knows you already are. What if you lived that way? How would your life be different? What possibilities would that create in your relationships? What might you need to do to claim yourself as God's treasure, to be rich toward God? However you answer, take care. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. And all God's blessed people say, Amen. Have a very, very wonderful and blessed week until we meet again.